bit weird.
That's never been said to me before.
Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the funniest moment in each year's Big Fat Quiz. We're also including the Of the Decade and Everything spin-offs, but still only using one per year.
You think that Sarah Green was killed in a basement in Noel's house party? Which episode did you see?
Mr. Blobby done it.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
2004. What was the Queen doing?
Question number 1. The Queen was pictured beating a what?
We put killing a harmless little fox.
Killing a harmless little fox?
Yeah, like a little friendly fox, like Basil Brush or...
In this inaugural edition of Big Fat Quiz, they were asked to explain what the story behind a controversial photo of Her Majesty was. The answer is that she was photographed beating a pheasant to death with a walking stick after it had been brought to her by a gun dog during a hunt.
You were clubbing a seal?
As you'd expect, people were furious, particularly animal rights groups who disagree with hunting at all, even if finishing the pheasant off quickly was more humane. But perhaps worse than what she was actually doing was Brien and Williams suggesting that she was clubbing a seal to death, and Simon Pegg and Lisa Tarbuck floating the idea that the Queen wrings the necks of swans for fun.
Look at the neck on a swan.
Get hold of it. Bang!
They all belong to her. She's got a grip of it and thought, ooh, have that. Rammed that stick down its neck.
But
She's
a
got herself
couple is just too tempting. Crack!
2005. Prince Harry.
I wouldn't mind going to a party at your place, Sharon.
It's fabulous, you love it.
Dust off the old inbred costume.
Oh.
Shall I go as a mutant this year?
We all remember when Prince Harry was photographed at a party wearing a Nazi uniform, a mistake that's followed him now for 20 years. It was, of course, a question on that year's quiz, as the panel was asked what the theme of the party actually was.
Something in inbreds. Well,
Mutants! Mutants and inbred!
Not a very common theme for a party.
They all got it wrong in the end, but their answers were completely absurd. Sharon Osbourne adamantly believed that the theme of the Posh Party was religious inbreds, while Rob Brydon and Gordon Ramsay did a royal spin on the classic Tarts and Vicars party with dictators and vicars. But it was, of course, colonial and native. Yikes.
Oh, for God's sake.
Was the theme
How
of the
posh
party?
a party was that?
That's
We're having
colonial
fancy dress, we're going colonial and native.
yes. Well, there was a prince going to it, so quite posh, I'm guessing.
2006. Brydon loses it.
There are no rules.
Sore loser.
We're the only people here who've got 5 out of 5, OK?
All right, well done. Join in, don't be pouting.
Rob Brydon and David Williams returned as a duo in 2006 and weren't happy about how badly they were doing. Brydon thought Russell Brand and Noel Fielding weren't taking the show seriously, and that Jimmy was erroneously awarding Jonathan Ross points. But before long, they turned on each other.
We've got some guests, let's stop quibbling and squabbling.
Get your arm down!
When Mylene Klass showed up as a guest, Williams kept pointing in front of Rob's face, and Rob tried to demand that they swap seats.
Sit there. Then
I'm not, because my name is here.
Sit there.
I'm not, my name is here. I don't want people tuning in thinking I'm you.
Sit there.
Sit down.
Williams was having none of it, refusing to sit behind Rob Brydon's nameplate. Brydon ended up giving Williams a taste of his own medicine, and the two of them were never on the same Big Fat Quiz team again.
Can I just ask, Jonathan, are you going to be trying to answer this question as well?
It's nice to see. We haven't seen much of you, but that's nice.
2007. Screens.
I didn't know you were gonna do it line by line. The ch is on the line 3. Jordache.
In 2007, there was an anniversary edition of Big Fat Quiz to celebrate 25 years of Channel 4 being on our screens. But Alan Carr was having issues with the screens and pens throughout the beginning of the show, frequently writing his answers across multiple lines.
It's all very well you laughing at us, Jimmy. We're trying to do a quiz here.
While this began with half of the name of a soap character being cut off, it ended with a very explicit request.
I know I'm going to sound like Mrs. Slocum, but my pussy went on the next line.
Even perennially grumpy Jack D couldn't keep a straight face while Alan tried to explain what he'd done wrong, as they pleaded with Jimmy to give them points for their incomplete answers. Carol Vorderman was loving it.
Who was the first housemate ever evicted from Big Brother? OK, you've gone for Sada Pussy.
2008, Sex and the City.
I will accept Sex and the City, the movie, as an answer, but Sex and the City is the correct answer.
No, it's not. Sex and the City, the movie, is the correct answer. Sex and the City is a TV show on HBO.
One of many TV shows that made the transition to the big screen, in 2008, the first Sex and the City movie had just come out. They were asked to identify the film poster that had been cleverly edited with Jimmy's face, which led to a legendary outburst from James Corden.
It's not! Weirdly, though, it is.
But weirdly, it isn't.
Well, that's amazing, because it is.
He wanted Jimmy to refuse points to the other teams because they'd said the film was just Sex and the City, as opposed to Sex and the City, the movie.
Get out! Get out, you two! What do you want to happen, you two? What do you want to happen?
He and Sean Locke even stormed off set at one point, though Locke admitted he wasn't all that invested.
I'll be honest, James. I'm not that bothered.
Well, the joke's on Corden, because it is officially called just Sex and the City, though some of the posters said otherwise. 2009, David Mitchell's music.
Charlie has a very vague idea that it might be something he hasn't heard. I'm convinced it's something I haven't heard. But it's difficult for me to select from all the billions of things I haven't heard which one it is.
Mitchell was teamed up with Charlie Brooker this year, and very quickly their glaring lack of music knowledge became an issue. When Jon Snow reported on Poker Face, David was forced to confess that he knows next to nothing about music, and his most recent musical purchase was Susan Boyle's debut album.
You're way behind, because just the other day I was writing in a newspaper how I've also bought Susan Boyle's album.
But astonishingly, despite this claim that neither of them have ever listened to a song before, they got the question right, vaguely guessing that it was Lady Gaga's smash hit.
Where have you been? Where have you been that you don't hear music? Clapham!
And that was despite Subo never having covered it. But the show crossed a line when Jimmy tried to make them dance.
Fuck off! I'm hired to sit here and be sarcastic!
2010, Hot Water. After an episode in which he'd already tried to walk out of the studio, Ayoade derailed proceedings completely to go on a tangent about his water pressure.
Yeah, we're just checking in. Just
Oh, yeah. Now, I'll tell you what, actually, it's very hard in our place to get the cold water pressure up.
He complained at length about how shoddy the cold water pressure in his flat was, and how he hadn't been able to do anything to fix it, in a minutes-long bit.
You know, as in it's very hot, the shower, and we actually have to run the hot water just to, you know, take the edge off.
Everybody starts pitching in to try and solve the issue for him, with Michael McIntyre eventually recommending a plumber who'll get everything sorted. And then Jimmy gets them all back on track by banning them from talking about plumbing for the rest of the show.
I have a plumber for you.
Has anyone got any clue what we're meant to be doing at this time?
We were just about to solve it.
2011, cheating.
You're under the desk. Are you Googling?
Yeah.
You're not Googling. Are you Googling?
Why not?
What do you mean you're Googling? Give me your phone. Give me your phone.
One of the earlier cheating incidents on Big Fat Quiz, Eddie Izzard was trying to Google answers to the questions from the beginning. Jimmy and Miranda Hart tried and failed to take the phone off him, with Miranda being tasked with keeping an eye on things.
Miranda, keep an eye on.
I'm having a close on you, Izzard.
Why is cheating so bad?
David Walliams demanded that Jimmy confiscate the phone, though they reach a compromise when Izzard puts it on the desk in full view of everybody.
He got it there! Take it away! Seriously, Jimmy, take it away.
Things later get even more extreme when, while they're all distracted by some revolting ice cream, Izzard goes and nicks the cards from Jimmy's podium.
All I will say to Jimmy is, if we do...
2012, Mr. Blobby.
We're honoured to have one of the decade's most iconic stars. Please welcome... Apologies, Jack. Mr. Blobby. Oh.
Name a more classic British 90s figure than Mr. Blobby himself, the demon spawn of Noel Edmonds. He dominated the decade, even scoring a Christmas #1 single, so of course, they brought him onto Big Fat Quiz. Whether they knew ahead of time that Jack Whitehall was blobbophobic is anyone's guess, but he was absolutely horrified to be in the same room as the Blob. But showing weakness around Mr. Blobby is the one thing you should never do, and he didn't tire of terrorising Whitehall for the rest of the time he was on screen. 2013, Gunge Tank.
We've got the actual Noel's House Party Gunge Tank.
No way.
During the following year's iteration of the Big Fat Quiz of the 90s, they brought back another staple of the decade, the humble Gunge Tank. Popular on British TV for generations, Jimmy said that the losers were going to be gunged on telly whether they liked it or not.
We've got a gunge tank and you're behind, so buck up your ideas.
I will kill you in your sleep.
But this was less than 2 years after Jimmy Carr's tax avoidance scandal broke, so it was ultimately determined by a rebellious panel that, rather than send Bob Mortimer and Richard Ayoade to the gallows, Jimmy should do it.
There are two ways about this.
Jimmy Carr go in the gunge tank, ladies and gentlemen? Yes.
Credit where credit's due, Carr quite happily stepped up and let Jet from Gladiators gunge him. ...2014, Banana.
I'm really confused.
You're really confused?
Very confused.
You used to be in the Spice Girls, you're now on X Factor, and somehow it's led you to this. I can only apologise.
Mel B didn't know what she'd let herself in for when she agreed to do Big Fat Quiz, standing in as that year's genuinely famous person, as opposed to a TV comedian.
But why is he in a banana? Sorry, that's really confusing too.
It was an iconic moment when Mel saw Richard Ayoade eating a banana, and he explained his fine-tuned strategies for getting through the quiz, much to her bafflement.
This quiz is a marathon.
Though this was all in keeping with her reputation as Scary Spice, fans of the show weren't happy with the way she tore it apart. When a man can't eat a banana in peace, what's the world come to? At least the studio audience loved it.
I've got peppermint tea and a Diet Coke.
You're out of your mind, Mel B. I'll see your ass at the end. I'll see your ass in pieces at the end. I'm going to be fully tanked up, quipping right till the final adverts.
2015, Briden's Rebellion.
I'm with them. That's the right answer. Thank you. Thank you.
More Rob Brydon outrage. In this episode, he essentially unionised the panellists against Jimmy Carr because they were sick of his regime. Brydon's a seasoned TV presenter himself, so he took control and started running the quiz. This began after Ayoade and Greg Davies suggested that peer pressure was the reason David Cameron did what he was alleged to have done with that pig.
Isn't it fascinating that Richard and Greg, two of the finest minds in this studio, certainly, perhaps not beyond, but in this studio...
The rival teams were on their side, with Brydon going to bat for the answer being allowed. The other teams then came together to get the answers wrong on purpose, so that Richard and Greg didn't fall behind.
I'm sorry, there's not a Malaysian betting syndicate involved in this, is there?
And neither is it a totalitarian state presided over by you.
You've lost our trust.
This quiz absolutely is that.
2016, Tray of Sweets.
Do you feel better now, though? The power of touch, Richard.
No, I mean,
This is the angriest we've ever seen Richard Ayoade, and again, his snacks were causing trouble. This time, it was his tray of Maltesers and chocolate buttons, which he chivalrously shared with the panel, only to have his treats nicked completely by Rob Beckett.
No, Johnson. You let bullying happen in the workplace. You let it happen.
This is
I've
the
got half a button.
By the end of the recording, he was at the end of his tether, and launched into a tirade about the conditions he was being expected to work under.
I don't know anything. You don't know anything. You were born 20 minutes ago.
From Aisling B hugging him against his will, to quips about his school life, Ayoade had had enough, and he made that very clear.
You finished all my sweets. You know, it was 5 years of that. 5 long years.
2017, Raining Men.
The Met Office has issued a severe weather warning ahead of adverse conditions expected from 10:30 tonight.
Legendary newsreader Jon Snow pops up from time to time to describe a hit single, either of that decade or the particular year the quiz is about.
Davina, Claudia, would you double team Jon Snow?
Oh, yeah.
Not only was there a very memorable moment where Snow gave his own rendition of Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, which was followed by Claudia Winkleman and Davina McCall agreeing that they wanted to spend an evening with him, but he also read out the lyrics for Raining Men by the Weather Girls.
Sources have indicated that this unusual phenomenon is best witnessed from the streets, with lonely women urged to leave their umbrellas at home.
This was on the 2017 edition of Big Fat Quiz of Everything, and it's maybe one of Snow's best musical news reads. 2018, Baby Shark.
I want to give you a point for Shark Song.
They said shark. We said baby shark.
The child clearly goes through the entire shark family.
The music round is always tricky for the quiz's ageing comedians, but this year they seem to get fewer questions right than usual. The final question posed the most issues, as they were asked what the biggest song of the year was. It was Baby Shark, of course, but they didn't all get it right.
The baby shark goes through the mummy shark,
baby
the
shark.
daddy shark, it goes on to the grandparents.
Baby Shark's a jumping off point.
David Mitchell and Michelle Wolf had no idea, while Richard and Noel guessed Shark Song. There was some controversy over whether Richard and Noel should get the point for getting the name slightly wrong. Jimmy wanted to award the point, but Mo and Claudia were completely opposed to this.
It's the whole shark family, and the whole song's a rip-off the Five Finger Family anyway.
That's it. I've had enough. Sorry, Five Finger Family?
2019, Teletubbies.
These four shapes were. Sandy Toksvig, I imagine you got this.
She bloody did as well.
Arguably, it was a bit unfair to get host of QI Sandy Toksvig to do the quiz, and it was no surprise when she and Joe Lycett cleaned up. But the tone was markedly lowered when they were asked to identify the connection between four symbols.
Tinky Winky was the one who was accused of being gay by Jerry Falwell, the evangelical preacher, because he had the triangle on his head, and he was purple, which is apparently a gay colour, and carried a handbag.
Toksvig was right about it being the Teletubbies' antennae, and had a fascinating factoid about the moral panic that began when people thought Tinky Winky might be coded as gay.
Imagine getting a blowy off her.
Do you know, I'm really trying.
Do you know what would be lovely? It'd be lovely to have something to hold on to.
But it was down to Lycett to wonder what it would be like to sleep with one of the Teletubbies in an absolutely filthy segment.
Tubby custard!
2020, Lasagna.
Joe, come on!
Hi, Stacey. How are you?
Hi.
In this socially distanced edition of Big Fat Quiz, lots of the questions were about the lockdown, and the mystery guest was no exception. Ultimately, they determined that he was the man behind the notorious Wembley Stadium lasagna hoax.
That there was a hoax online, and some people believed it, that they were making a giant lasagna in Wembley Stadium to feed people during lockdown.
He released a voice note alleging that he'd heard that the government was going to make a special lasagna the size of Wembley to feed people who couldn't get to the shops. It was absolutely bizarre that anyone believed this, but apparently it really took off in the year that we were all stuck indoors.
They're making lasagna the size of Wembley Stadium. Looking forward to that because I do quite like lasagna as well.
2021, Jackie Weaver.
Please give it up for Jackie Weaver!
By the end of the year, we were all a bit tired of seeing Jackie Weaver everywhere, but it was still a lot of fun when she made an appearance as a guest on Big Fat Quiz to ask a question.
It is a meeting called by two councillors.
Illegally?
They now elect a chairman.
No, they can't, because the vice chair's here. I take charge.
We got to relive that unforgettable Zoom call, and then she asked a question about another notorious virtual meeting that happened that year. But the jokes didn't stop coming, as she was soon persuaded to usurp Jimmy Carr and read the questions from his podium. It's a shame she didn't stay and host the entire thing, since after 20 years, maybe it's time for a break from Jimmy.
Jackie, have you still got beef with that guy? What was his name?
Which one?
2022, mystery guest.
Did you go viral?
I did go viral, yes.
Yes or no,
I did go viral, yes. Yes!
The mystery guests are a common feature, but the bloke they had on in 2022 was one of the most chaotic the show has ever had. He kept giving longer answers than just yes or no, and then turning to Jimmy for help non-stop.
Was it to do with a hobby of yours or a pursuit that you do anyway?
Oh, it's a tricky one, that.
It's not tricky, it's a yes.
Yeah, we'll say yes.
What do you mean you'll say yes? It is yes.
This made Jimmy wonder whether he even knew who he was. It turned out he'd gone viral online for commentating on planes trying to land at Heathrow Airport during severe weather, after they finally got through all the questions. It certainly was something to hear his jumbo jet commentary after this was over.
Bosh!
2023 Impressions.
It's Expendables.
Is that your...
I think it might be 4, but I'm not sure. Could be 3. Hard to say.
In the most recent edition, Ayoade teamed up with Mel B, who made the bizarre decision to wear a coat the whole way through the recording. Ayoade isn't really known for his impressions, but when he pulled out a dialed-in Jason Statham, everybody was surprised.
Is this your real voice? Mate, this is how I speak when I'm at home.
He went on to claim that that was his real voice, baffling Mo Gilligan, and kept bringing it back out for their various Statham-related joke answers.
I put on the funny voice for the TV, all go, go, go. As soon as I get in the motor, slip it into first.
But Gedwich had some impressions too, managing to produce a relatively good Donald Trump after a few attempts. And that was despite how drunk she'd gotten on cherry brandy.
How
Like
does it
that.
speak?
Like this, yep.
4 indictments, boom.
Let us know in the comments who your favourite Big Fat Quiz team is.
Are you Banksy?
No.
Oh, that's what Banksy would say.
I've got it, Banksy.
Gotcha, sucker.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.